Make sure you guys give us a like on today's video. As you guys know, we are in an October like battle against our Ravens channel. Only a couple of more days here in the month of October. We have a pretty sizable lead, but September we choked it away at the very end, and we don't want to repeat that here in October. So like that video for us right now. Again, only a couple more days in October to secure this victory over Ravens rundown. So help us out, like today's video, something you should do for all of our videos here at Bengals Breakdown. Welcome in to Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields, and on today's show, we're going to be doing our typical Tuesday preview, taking a look at the Cincinnati Bengals matchup with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Bengals, of course, still in search of win number 1 at home in the jungle at Paycor Stadium this week, Week 9, against the Las Vegas Raiders. Joe Burrow talked at his press conference after the game against the Philadelphia Eagles that the Bengals, of course, lost, saying that feels like the Bengals need to win probably 7 of these last 9 games in order to get into the playoffs. He said it's very doable, but it all starts with a win here against Vegas. Very much feels like a must-win game. Vegas, of course, one of the worst teams in the National Football League. You lose this game, I think that pretty much puts a bow on your 2024 season. Absolutely a must-win game on Sunday, Week 9, Raiders and Bengals. So on today's preview show, we're going to be taking a look at several things. The injury report is what we're going to start with here. And, of course, the Bengals have not yet practiced this week. They'll have their first practice in preparation for the Las Vegas Raiders tomorrow on Wednesday, so we don't have an official injury report at this time. But we do know 2 guys. T. Higgins, of course, missed last week's game against the Philadelphia Eagles with that quad injury that he suffered during Friday's walkthrough practice. So we're going to continue to monitor Higgins. I think it could have been a lot worse for that Cincinnati offense. They're obviously always better with T. Higgins out on the football field, but I don't really think it was a massive loss last week, at least against the Eagles. There was plenty of other things that caused them to lose that game. So hopefully T. Higgins is going to be all right and ready to go in this game. And then Orlando Brown Jr., who started the game against Philadelphia but did have to leave the game. Cody Ford came in and played that left tackle position. Brown Jr., of course, dealing with that knee/calf injury that he suffered in Cleveland that caused him to miss the second half of that game as well. So those are the 2 notable names that we know in terms of guys that are dinged up right now. And hopefully those 2 guys are going to be ready to go because they're very key components to this Cincinnati offense. Looking over at the Vegas side, we got pretty much 2 offensive linemen here to worry about. Dylan Parham, one of their interior offensive linemen, missed their game against the Kansas City Chiefs, so we'll see if he's going to be able to return this week. And then Andre James, their center, suffered an ankle injury in that game against Kansas City and had to come out. So if those 2 guys aren't able to play, you're looking at some reserves along the offensive line, and the Bengals certainly could use that. But the Eagles have reserves all over their offensive line as well, and they absolutely stuffed the Bengals pass rush in that game. But those are the notable names to monitor at this point as far as injuries go. But again, we'll have an official injury report for you guys tomorrow after Wednesday's practice. Kind of taking a look at this outlook here over these next 4 weeks. Got to win at least 2 of these games going into the bye. And in a lot of ways, you really need to win all 3. But I think you go 2 out of 3 heading into this bye, I think you still are alive as far as the AFC playoff picture goes. It all starts with a win here in Week 9 against clearly the weakest team during this stretch, with the Ravens and Chargers being the other 2 teams. So really massive game on Sunday. Expect to see the Bengals playing with their hair on fire, and it's a big game for Zac Taylor as well as far as his job security goes. And hopefully the Bengals are going to be locked in. But I think it's a must-win game. I want to know from you guys, do you believe this is a must-win game for Cincinnati? It is the pinned comment of today's video, so if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Type Y for yes or N for no. All right, now let's get into some keys to victory here for the Bengals in their game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, number 1, got to create a balanced attack in this football game. The Bengals were absolutely dreadful when it came to running the football last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. They were 100% one-dimensional in last week's game. Taking a look at some of these numbers here, they really could not get anything going. Chase Brown has kind of morphed into that lead back for Cincinnati. He wasn't able to get anything going in this game. Only 5 carries for Zach Moss, 11 yards. Obviously, that is not going to cut it. When you take a look at this Raiders run defense, kind of where they rank in the league at this point, they're going to have some opportunity. They're not at the very bottom, but they're obviously floating in that 20 range for a lot of these statistics, which is something that the Bengals need to be able to take advantage of. When the Bengals beat the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football, they had some ability to run the football. We've seen this team have success on the ground, but certainly didn't have it against Philadelphia, and that just puts so much pressure on Joe Burrow in the passing game if you don't have the ability to run the football, and it just allows the pass rush of the opposing teams to tee off on you. Like I said, the Bengals were absolutely dreadful in the run game. Starts with their blocking up front with these guys. Of course, you got Cody Ford on this list as well, because he came in for Orlando Brown Jr. But a good way to think about this is kind of, as my buddy Chris Daughtry was telling me about these PFF grades, if you're sitting around in the 80s with these blocking grades, that kind of feels like an A, right? So if you kind of go down the scale, you get the Bengals in the 50s and the 40s. That's basically a D and an F when it comes to your ability in the run game. So just an absolutely dreadful performance from this offensive line. And this is a group that has some continuity together. This has been the group that we've seen for a while since Trent Brown got injured, and really the interior with Volson, Kappa, and Karras have been around for a long time with this football team. So you want to see better execution up front, and the Bengals 100% are going to have to do a better job of creating a balanced attack in this game. And it starts with those big boys up front generating some holes for Chase Brown and Zach Moss. Another key to victory in this game, got to find a way to generate some pressure on the quarterback, who of course is going to be Gardner Minshew for this Las Vegas Raiders team. Aiden O'Connell is on IR. Desmond Ridder, former Cincinnati Bearcat, is the backup right now, but I think you can fully expect Gardner Minshew to be the guy. And again, you have to take advantage going against a guy like Gardner Minshew because, look, Gardner Minshew's a guy that, isn't very good. Like, let's just say it how it is. He is not that good as an NFL quarterback. And the Bengals have to take advantage of that. They played against some bad quarterbacks so far this year and have done a good job. But look, Gardner Minshew is definitely one of those guys at the very bottom of the league. And look, their defensive end guys are really going to have to find ways to pressure Gardner Minshew in this game. And a guy that I have my eye on is 6th-round rookie Cedric Johnson. Johnson, of course, was taken in the 6th round by Cincinnati out of Ole Miss, and he's been inactive for most of the games this year. But he showed some promise rather in the preseason, as well as some of the few snaps that he has gotten during the regular season. Got to switch something up because right now it is Trey Hendrickson or nothing in the pass rush department. And look, Trey Hendrickson did not play well against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Bengals just had no chance when it came to getting pressure on the quarterback. So Cedric Johnson is a guy that I might try to get into this lineup if I am Cincinnati, and we'll see if they do that. Because, again, something needs to switch, as what you're doing right now clearly is not good enough. So should Cincinnati activate Cedric Johnson on Sunday? Type A for active or I for inactive. Sound off for us in the comment section. This is an A for me. Got to switch something up. Miles Murphy has not been cutting it. Joseph Osai hasn't been cutting it either. I want to see Cedric Johnson go out there and get an opportunity in this football game. I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time, because today's show is presented by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks is the easiest way to find and buy tickets to live events. Tickets for this game against the Las Vegas Raiders are on sale now. Also, we got tickets on sale for a December matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which should be a really entertaining game as well. So head on over to Game Time and get the best deals possible. My two favorite features on Game Time, the seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy with Game Time. Secondly, the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature up front allows you to see your total up front, so you don't get hit with any of those surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, redeem code CHAT SPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Bengals also have to win the special teams battle in this football game. This is something in years previously I felt really good about this football team going into games, having the advantage in the special teams department. But Evan McPherson this year has not been Money Mac. My buddy texted me and said he's not Money Mac anymore. He's just simply Mac, and that's the way he has been this year, and that's not good enough for Cincinnati. 3 of 6 on 50-plus yarders. I understand there's been issues with the operation, of course, with Ryan Rico and, being the holder, which is new for McPherson this year, obviously, given Rico is a rookie. Cal Adamitis, the snapper, haven't had as many issues there. But look, that is not good enough. Has missed an extra point as well. And that big kick, I really think that kick that he missed, that 54-yarder against the Philadelphia Eagles, really changed the entirety of that football game. And I think if he makes that kick, Cincinnati, the whole game might look a little bit different. That 54-yarder certainly is a kick he is capable of making. So what is your confidence level in Evan McPherson? Going into the season, this was always like a 10 for me. But right now, you really have issues in the kicking game. So scale it for us in the comments, 1 to 10, sound off for us right now. Also got to find ways to create turnovers in this football game. This defense for Cincinnati is not good. They are very reliant on turnovers, and they have to find ways to create them in order to have success. Taking a look here at what they've done on a game-by-game basis, obviously had the 3 against Kansas City, wasn't good enough to win the game, but that Patriots game didn't force any, you lost. This Eagles game didn't force any, you lost. And the Commanders game, he didn't force any, you lost. So this defense is very reliant on turnovers. But that's just kind of the way it is right now. If Cincinnati isn't able to turn over the opposition, they're going to have issues in winning football games. So the defense has to find ways to create some turnovers in this game. I think Logan Wilson has to definitely step up his play for Cincinnati at that linebacker position. Got to see some guys force some fumbles. This is something Wilson and Pratt have been able to do in their past. Pratt has a couple this year, of course. But they got to do a better job in that department and really find ways to create some turnovers for this Cincinnati team. Again, with the matchup with Minshew, should be able to do that. But creating turnovers is going to be a big factor in this game. If you enjoy our weekly Bengals previews, going to be doing these every single week. So hit that sub button so you don't miss any of our weekly previews. That's youtube.com/BengalsTV. Last up here is this desperate teams theory, right? The Cincinnati Bengals are absolutely a desperate team in this football game. And a lot of times desperate teams can kind of come together as a unit and play really, really well. Obviously, Zac Taylor and company are hoping that's what happens with this Cincinnati Bengals football team. But look, there is absolutely no coming back from a loss on Sunday. Talked about how it's a favorable matchup, of course. The schedule gets a little bit more difficult as you go on. Have to capitalize in this game because there's just such little room for error right now with Cincinnati as far as losing football games go. They have to find ways to stack wins. Joe Burrow talked about needing probably 7 of 9. Maybe you can squeak in if you get 6, but you're probably going to need at least 7, 8, or 9 of these last games in order to get in. I don't know if that necessarily is going to come to fruition, but I do think the Bengals are going to win this football game against the Las Vegas Raiders. My score prediction is 31-20. I think the offense will find some ways to put some points up on the board. So I've got Cincinnati getting it done and staying alive here in this Week 9 matchup.